Good morning and welcome to TalkSports. It is our weekend program. Yes, I think I got it right. Always having some little issues, but nevertheless, welcome to our program. And it has been quite a while. We haven't had, well, a few months now, we haven't had a program, I should say. And what can I say for now? Well, it has to do a lot with, traveling and things like that. So, but even though I've traveled this time around, I found the time that we can probably have a little program, have a little discussion, because it hasn't been a while now. We have been discussing some of the things that we wanted to speak about. So let me say good morning to my co-host in Toronto. I hope it's a beautiful day for you in Toronto. Good morning to you, Rudian.
Hey, good morning, Bascom. How are you doing? It is certainly a beautiful day in Toronto. It's scary because the weather is too nice. The weather is too nice for this time of the year. Especially next week is going to be like a super, super good week so far based on the weather. And that could be very scary because then we don't know what's coming behind it. But we'll accept it now until we get what's coming, right? So certainly it's a beautiful day, and it's always good to see you. I know you're traveling, and it's part of it. You don't have a choice. Yeah, but yeah,
When you say what's coming, what you speaking about?
the snow,
Oh, okay, right, right, right.
the snow and the cold, and
Yeah.
so suddenly, we start seeing it's getting dark. I know the time is going to change back soon. So
Mhm.
definitely by around 6 o'clock, it start getting dark out here.
Yeah.
So definitely, we know it's coming. Yeah.
Right. Well, we have a couple of things to talk about as indicated, and quite a bit has been happening of recent. Okay. First off, since the last time we spoke, in fact, the last person we had on our program was Kirani James, right? Soon to be Dr. Kirani James, right? And I think we also since then, there would have been a couple other developments taking place. Well, we know the folks in the Chess Federation, those young kids, they did pretty well, as you know,
Yeah.
right? And well, it's always nice to see that the non-traditional sports, as we call it, right? And these are recreational activities, and it's becoming big now. Chess is a big sporting event, and nice to see so many of the young kids in particular. Look, we had 9 and 12-year-olds, participating, representing Grenada, doing well. And it's good to see that that is on the right path. In fact, it has gone far as now there's a program at His Majesty's Prison, right? And it has been going on for a while. I wasn't even aware of that in terms of probably for the past 2-3 years. The prisoners participate in this virtual chess tournament, right? And that is good. It's good to see those things. And I hope, as you will probably, as you had indicated, I think in a recent program, that we can see more of that in the schools.
No, definitely. One of the things that we always discuss about, Michael, is the things that we grew up on. Things that there was to get we as young kids involved. And that's one of the things that have been lacking. So to see that coming back, because as long as you have it, kids will be involved. We say yes, the technology take over and everything because there is no programs for them. So if there are stuff for them to do, they will be involved in it. The kids like to be outside. Kids like to be engaging, right? If there is nothing, they will be on the tablets. They'll go home, watch TV. They will do those things. But as long as there is things to do, parents will get them involved, and you'll see a big difference. So this is certainly a good start. I always hope it's expanding in other areas, not only in the chess, but in every other area, not only in sport, but in school too. After school program, those things in them do help the kids.
Mhm. And probably, as indicated, probably what's about inter-school tournament, for example.
Definitely, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Inter-school tournament, like just as you have debates, in the high schools, you have all. I just want to interject all this stuff in schools because that's where the foundation is. Interject all this stuff in schools, then you're going to see the future in chess will grow.
Yeah,
And we
that's
and we're
right.
seeing it with sports, right? We're seeing it with sports. Like if there wasn't sports in the elementary school and in the primary school, we may not have a Kirani James. We may not have an Anderson Peters. We may not have those athletes, right? The Hazelon Wages. We may not have those because of once you have this thing in the foundation in schools, in that's where it is, then you'll see it expand and then they take it to another future. So if you
Right.
have things like debate and all those things, kids might grow up and want to be politicians.
Yeah.
Right? So
No, I
yeah,
mean, and you said that because when I was in school, we had these student council, for example. Those
yeah,
things were big student councils and thing, and you basically had to, as they say, campaign, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and interestingly, from what I understood, even some of the guys who were ahead of me, they became politicians after, right?
yep,
Some of them became lawyers, and they became very good in the bar. I recall the current director of public prosecution, Christopher Nelson. He was ahead of me in school, and these were guys who, well, he was once the president of the student council at the GBSS. But I always recall him campaigning
yeah,
for the presidency and his team, okay, his team of candidates and things, and they were going like from forms to forms, and then when we have
yeah,
a general assembly, they will
yeah,
have their. I mean, and these guys had manifestos, right? I
yeah,
mean, and
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and that in a way sort of sensitized us at the time of politics,
Politics, yeah,
and
yeah.
things like that. So
And I wish all schools could have that. I mean, when I came to Canada and I go to school, that was a big thing in schools, right?
mhm,
Um, when a student is in have to be disciplined, the
mhm.
president of
Of
the
the
student
student
council
council,
is part of it as well
yeah.
because it's also like they have somebody, supporting them. They have a support staff. The students have a
That's
support staff. So certainly it is something that you really would like to see in all the high schools. Imagine if all the high schools have that. Then you have the kids
um,
having some sort of support system that,
so
oh, I'm not going to the principal office alone. I'm going with somebody who could be there with me and could have my back. So,
and I've come to think about it, when you think about what you just said and what we knew, and what we experienced, it's almost like the student council was like the
yeah,
union, the
the
union.
union. Yeah, the union.
They
Yeah,
were like the
yeah,
union, right?
in the
So
union. Yeah, yeah,
they'll be present there for any disciplinary action, all these sort of things,
yeah.
right?
And you see, in not only school sports, it's in some club sports. Like even with my group, I have a captain where I will sit down with my captain and have discussion with them, and they will relate it to the athletes. The same thing. It's in schools. You might have the coach might have to speak to the captain. You see it in other teams. The captain sometimes is involved in meetings, that have to do with the teams. So you're building something that sometimes you don't realize what you're building because you're building. We say we're building men and we're building women. For the future. Because you sometimes we see something in them that is more than. I was at the Buju Banton concert on Sunday, and in front of me was my high school basketball coach that we have won a basketball title with out here in Toronto, and it was shocking to see him. And I remember, he said to me, he said, so we haven't seen in a while, and we our discussion is, I say, well, I'm coaching now, and I have this one athlete, no, plus I have other athletes. He say, man, I've seen the future in you from since in high school because even he said even though you were the team captain for basketball, I always tell you make sure you go to track practice. I always encourage you to go to track practice because he said I see the future for you. A lot of people didn't see that. People said no, you're a basketball stay. I saw the in track and field. So I encourage you to go. So I'm happy to hear, what paid off many years ago that you're still involved by giving back. So certainly there's something that I would really like to see more of that happening in schools and in clubs and so forth in our beautiful nation, Grenada. But certainly the debate is really good because I said so many people turn out to be politicians, lawyers, businessmen, where they can speak in front of a crowd. Certainly that started somewhere, and that's always a good thing.
All right, so we have let me see if not yet. Right. So we have football on the domestic season. They continue. Well, the
Yeah.
Nations League football where um, Grenada sort of inconsistent. They win or lose or win or draw.
Win
You
lose.
know,
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah,
I saw that.
a
Yeah,
draw
yeah. A lot
game.
of that. Yeah.
But interesting enough, Curacao is a very experienced team, right? Very experienced. In fact, most of their players are based in Europe. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
the Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
Holland, and they play European football and things. But generally, Curacao has always been a very experienced team. So that's one. But the good takeaway from me from those games with Grenada versus Curacao in that even though they lost 1-0 and they drew 0-0, you know, the score line to me is very encouraging, right? That's one. However, as we always say, you know, goals win. You have to score
Yeah.
goals to win, right?
That the score goes
So
to win.
so so to me, that is very encouraging. They have to score goals, right? But it's not like 3-0 and 5-1 and these sort of things like that. So the 0-0 shows how competitive the game was, and Grenada had many chances. That's one.
Yeah.
And then two, losing by 1-0 and then probably second half, these sort of things like that. So it's to me, it's something that they need to build on, right? Listen, I always see these arguments that folks make about, every time when Grenada wins, not an issue. If they lose, it's about the coach and it's about the foreign-based players and about this and that and the other. I mean, listen, if it's one thing I don't really get, I just read those comments. I mean, fret and stoops and thing, and then move to the next. I think I don't really get into the commenting and thing like that. So because a lot of people they comment over emotions, right? They don't.
Yeah.
Some of them don't. I saw one commenting, and then somebody asked about something regarding the game, and the response was basically that they didn't see the game. So you saw the score line and you were commenting based on the scoreline. You did not see the game, but you basically was given the impression and given an assessment of who should go and the coach and this, that, but you didn't see the game.
You didn't see the game.
Yeah.
One of the things, Michael, with a lot of us, we sometimes we don't understand some of the game. Somebody's in the moment. Sometimes it's depends on who you're playing. I watch basketball and so see a lot of teams. And in the early days of the Toronto Raptors, they will beat Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan. Every time Chicago Bulls come to Toronto, Chicago Bulls lose to the Toronto Raptors. But the next game, they were playing the Memphis Grizzlies, which is the Vancouver Grizzlies at the time, which is a very terrible team. Vancouver will beat them. So some people step up when they're playing a certain level of athlete. So you find it in basketball when Steph Curry is in the game, you see players step up. LeBron James, players step up. So sometimes you see that with a lot of sports. So you play a tough team and you see you play very, very well. And I remember when Grenada was in the CONCACAF, that first game they played, it was a phenomenal game. Even though they lost like 1-0, I believe it was a phenomenal game. They really stepped up and played a wonderful game. The other games wasn't the same. So it's just about in the moment, just about how some players feeling. It's some you don't always go there with the same feeling all the time because some people's game depend on how the other team playing. Some of the team playing sloppy and you end up playing sloppy too by just following what they're doing. So it's a lot of that too. So, but if the team is good, we expect them to win every time. But when you see a 0-0 or 1-0, that means it was a really good game. Yeah, in the end, yes, goals win matches. Period. You don't score, you don't win.
So, a couple of other things that we want to. By the way, we should also remember that today is the the 41st.
Yeah.
Is it 40? Yeah, 41st anniversary since the October 19th incident in Grenada. and it's been marked with celebrations, observance, I should say, not so much celebrations, but observance in a big parish, St. Andrew, today. Okay, it's considered to be National Heroes Day,
Yeah.
things like that. So it's and it's something I want to intertwine with in a moment. We'll go back to that. So we are talking about football. So then we also have domestic football going on with the GFA. Very interesting results going.
Yeah.
And then we also have the secondary schools football. In fact, yesterday I was looking at the penalty kicks between Boca Secondary School and St. Andrews Anglican Secondary School, SAS. Well, Boca had won in the penalty kicks, I think it was 4-2, eventually winning 4 goals to Boca. Over the past few years, Boca has been improving.
Very much so.
So we had Boca
Very
Secondary
much.
School and McDonald College as two of the powerhouses in secondary schools football now.
Yeah.
But Boca has really improved over the last few years. We've seen them even in track and field; they have been improving as well. Okay. So then we had cricket coming on.
Yeah.
Very, very well. We had the West Indies first with Sri Lanka. They lost the T20 series 2-1. They won the first one. They lost the second, and then they lost the third one. 3-20. They're now moving on to the one day international, the ODIs, starting from Sunday, right? Very competitive game, even though the game they lost against Sri Lanka, not this last one, because that last one was a very close one as well. West Indies really, I don't know, they go through a patch, but that's for that. But then the women's, by the way,
phenomenal.
The ladies lost the semi-final.
Yeah.
They lost out on the semi-final, and we must give kudos to Afi Fletcher in that quarterfinal match.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was on fire. I mean, even at Afi's age, she is showing, right, that she can, she can do something.
Yeah. Listen, we have seen it with age with athletes.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Age is no longer an issue.
It's no longer.
If Tom Brady come back, he'll be phenomenal. Age is literally not an issue. So we got to limit that now from the mind process of people. Oh, this person too old. No. Long as they can play the game, and so she was phenomenal.
Yeah. So I somehow, I don't know. Even though D'Angelo Dottin, as they say, New Zealand overcame Dottin's brilliance, but a lot of the experience that threw in there, and New Zealand ended up winning by 8 runs?
8 runs, yeah.
Yeah, very close encounter indeed. And then there's an exciting test match that is actually going on with. I've been watching in and between because I've been doing some traveling. So, between India and New Zealand, right? India in their first innings made 46 runs. Their second innings, 462, right? And New Zealand in their first innings, 402. So basically, New Zealand need 107 runs to win, right? That to me is an interesting encounter. Test match at its best. It's only in the West Indies we don't see these large crowds for test matches. When you go to
we don't see it no more. Yeah.
Well, cricket in general in India
it's a different story. It's a different story, yeah.
Whether it's T20, one-day test match, and it's interesting to see some of the women who are involved, who are not so much involved, but following cricket, right? Let's say good morning to Edwin Sam. Yes, good morning to Edwin, and good morning to Hazel. She said, yes, Afi is doing an amazing job in cricket. Let us shout out Afi for all that she has done, and she is doing. She's continuing to do. Remember, Afi is a mama, eh? right? Yeah, remember they had a
And like I
midfielder,
said,
Afi.
yeah,
Afi is a mother, and then she returned to cricket, and it's
yeah,
as if Afi, nothing has affected Afi,
never have left.
and she's so genuine, and she is so much committed to the game. Look at
Yeah.
Afi playing and her emotions on the field, whether it's bowling, whether it's fielding. I mean, just look at Afi's emotion. There's always this level of commitment, you know, and wow, I don't know. I mean,
Listen,
and again,
she had put herself in the bracket of some of the track and field athletes as mothers now who has have birth and come back and dominate in the sport. And she have left definitely put herself in that same bracket that once you have it, you have it. There's nothing else, and once you put the work in, it pays off even after you go through a situation. People had surgery, come back, and sometimes they're better than when they before they had the surgery. So once you put the work in, once people put the work in, so we are looking at Kirani now. Talk with him last and he's saying the performance we see in Kirani is like in his young days. The time he's running, the way he's running, is like this is Kirani when he was about 21, 22, and
but
so when you
but
watch that,
but
now you say, man,
but the conversation we had with Kirani 2 weeks ago. At any point in time, did you get the impression that Kirani was preparing to throw the towel
bro, not at all.
in?
I think Kirani believe, even if it's believe in the next within the next 3 to 4 years, Grenada could have a really good, solid relay team.
Well,
And certainly, I think that even if Kirani may not be on top of his game as we need to, but
mm,
I believe in another 3 years, healthy wise, medical wise, healthy, Kirani could still run a split at 43 points in a 4x4,
mhm.
or even a 44 point. And I believe that he can do it, and he believe he can do it. So Grenadian athletes, if you are listening, Kirani is waiting for you guys.
Well,
He's waiting.
he said
Yeah,
so. Yeah, he
yeah,
said
he's
so.
waiting.
Yeah.
He's waiting. So please, let's get it together. He's waiting, and also let the um, administration recognize that it is time for a relay team. It's time.
Mhm,
It's time to put it together because we have the athletes.
mhm.
We just have to give them a
Um,
chance. We got to give them a chance.
I fully agree, and I think it's only a matter of time that we will get that. Going back to Afi, Afi is actually 37. Eh?
Yeah,
Afi is
she,
37, closing
she don't
to. In fact, in March, she will be
she with it.
38.
She don't look like it.
That's what I'm saying.
She don't
And
look like it.
the point
Yeah,
I'm making too is that look at Afi on the field, looking at Afi on the field, looking at Afi bowling, look at Afi fielding.
yeah.
There is nothing about age that you can put with Afi, except that Afi has been playing cricket for a long time.
Long time.
Yeah,
Like I said, she seems more better now than she was in her prime.
yeah.
In the prime
Look,
and in the younger age. Talking about you go back 5 years, she's way more better now in the bowling, in batting, in fielding than when she was 5, 6 years ago.
yeah.
So once you
Well,
put the work in, you may not see the work, today, but
mhm.
it will come out. So she put the hard work in, and it's paying off now.
Yeah, and one of the things I really would like to probably commend Cricket West Indies on is sort of bringing the pay for the women almost on par with the men, right? I don't
To a
think
good
it's
level. Yeah.
yeah, but it's better
And
than
to a
ever
good level.
before, right?
And that's what it
And
is now because I've seen a conversation even on women's sport on a whole. You look at the women's basketball. You see now they don't play in small gyms anymore. They play in those big arenas and it's sold out.
yeah,
So
well,
I see a comment now. It is time to pay them.
yeah,
It is
and
time to pay them.
there's reason why Afi uh, yeah, there's reason why Afi is like on cricket, and
Yeah.
and I'm talking about women's cricket and
Yeah.
now women's basketball and all these things, something to that effect, because of there is a factor, right?
Yep.
One person's just not just a personality but a performance has really put that up into a next level.
The next level. Yeah.
WNBA finals, for example, it's going on now.
Yeah.
New York Liberty versus the
It is
Minnesota
Minnesota.
Lynx.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minnesota Lynx. And there is game 5 going on to the game 5 of the final.
Yeah.
It's moving to the Barclays Center. And Rudy and I am certain that will be a sold out game.
Oh, it's sold out. Sold out.
Probably 3-4 years ago.
Never. That wouldn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Never. Never.
Women's sports
Yeah.
really
But
evolved.
however, we seen where it's global now with women's sport. It's a global thing now. It's no longer, the men, even though the men still have that higher percentage over the women, but the women is creeping up to be on the same level as the men in terms of seeing the fan base. And we've seen it in track and field where everybody cannot wait to see the women 100 meters or the women 400-meter hurdles or the women 110 hurdles, because that's really is the goal now. And we see two ladies, Clarks and Reese, coming out from NCAA, and they was started in college when there was like, I mean, Angel Reese made a comment and said, "Why do I need to rush to go to the NBA when in the NIL deal I'm making more money than some of the best players in the NBA, in the WNBA?" So I mean, last year
Okay.
she was making way more money in the NIL deal compared to some of the best players who's currently were paying. And when they come into the league, them two are they just change a whole dynamics. And as you can see with the Olympics, so it was people call it a disgrace by not getting Clark, Caitlin Clark on the women's Olympic team. It was a big issue. She wasn't on the team. So certainly, like I said, people are speaking up for them. People are going out there and and campaigning for them to start getting paid, because women's sport is about to explode on a
Yeah.
level like never before.
Well,
And in every sport, not only in
yeah.
the basketball, track and field. We've seen it in soccer. Soccer always been there, but then we start seeing it now in soccer how
Yeah.
huge, it is.
Well, Edwin is saying that it's already sold out. I mean, that was
Yeah,
expected.
yeah, it's sold out. Yeah,
And
yeah.
the
It's New York.
yeah,
Yeah,
Barclays Center is a
yeah,
place where
sold out. Yeah,
well, as a matter of fact, I remember my wife was telling me about the game was being played in Barclays Center last night, and I was telling her no. She said she was seeing so many people, around the area. That was the watch party. Could you imagine that? That was a watch party for the
yeah,
game at
yeah.
Barclays Center. Could you imagine if they actually
But
played? Which
what is the? I only saw the first game with the when Minnesota won the game one. What's the record? I don't even know the record now.
well, they're now 2-2 because they
Oh, it's 2-2. Okay,
yeah, I think because it's game 5 they're going into,
it's game
right? Game
five.
five,
Yeah.
and it's a
Okay.
winner takes all, right?
Oh, so they
Um,
only go 5 games.
well, yeah,
I was
five,
I was
but
thinking I was thinking 7 in my head, but I think it's 5. Yeah.
I think it's because I know it's a winner takes all game
It
for
says winner take
Barclays
all game
Center.
tonight.
Winner
Yeah,
takes all,
yeah.
but not
So
to. I don't think it's tonight. Maybe tomorrow night because they played last night. Okay, and by the way, again, close encounters. Let me see.
yeah,
Let me double check. Close encounters. Buzzer. By the buzzer.
buzzer beaters. Yeah, yeah, buzzer
Yes.
beaters. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
By that. Oh, and while he was speaking, he was actually saying about the NIL. Sorry. You know.
yeah.
Um, that is what NIL will get you. And
Yeah, definitely. I
that's
listen.
that's
I see a
interesting.
clip. I see a clip where I think the number one draft recruited a college basketball player for next year. I think he's like 16 or 17. Where teams are paying up to $7 to $9 million to get him, and that's college teams. $7 to $9 million to get him to come play for them, and it's like, wow, that is like, yeah. Sometimes it's more than some NBA players is making.
Yeah. So yeah, the series is actually tied 2-2.
2-2.
In fact,
Yeah.
Linz won by 2 points, 82-80. Let me see. The series will now move on. And listen, the attendance at the
Yeah.
Target Center in Minneapolis was
Jeez.
19,210. That
Yeah.
you know, that's a woman's. I mean, and we said 3-4 years ago, that probably would have been a 9,000, 8,000 sort of thing, right?
And you're talking about the average ticket because of the finals is maybe 150.
Yeah. Come on,
Yeah.
I mean, and you
Average ticket
talk.
price.
Yeah, come on, man. And you're
Yeah.
talking about this is this is now the championship game. Let me see when they will play. But you know, I'm trying to follow it. But you know, today is Saturday, so you know what's happening a lot on TV today.
College.
That's why
Listen,
I'm
there
trying
is
to
a big
hurry up.
game.
I'm trying to hurry up to get
I
that
thought I
Edwin.
thought you would have been in Texas. I
No,
thought you'd have been in Texas
I'm
because
trying to
that is
hurry.
a big game tonight.
I'm trying to hurry up to get Edwin out because I know he's probably somewhere. I know he's on watching, but I know
Uh,
you know, is something, you know, in and between. He's watching at probably the pre-shows and all these sort of things, you know,
listen,
because today
I
is
watch I
today is
watched my a nail biter last week. I watched a
he
nail
said
biter last week. I
he
was
said
too yeah.
he said I'm good.
He's good. He's good for now. He still has a little time, you know. He's good for now. I
Yeah,
watched a nail
yeah,
biter last week with Ohio State and Oregon. I was like, oh my goodness, that was a game, you know.
right.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
homecoming, and it's homecoming. It's homecoming
yeah.
now, so most teams are playing at home. It's gonna
Yes,
be
most of
yeah,
in fact, I am in
yeah.
I'm in Nebraska today, right? I'm in Nebraska, Omaha, and it was buzzing around because I think Nebraska is playing Indiana. I think, yeah, Nebraska
That is
is
a big
playing
game.
Indiana.
Yeah,
In Nebraska playing Indiana. I'm looking at some of our. Where is this? Auburn is playing. Oh, Auburn is playing. South Carolina and Oklahoma is good games on today too. Michigan and Illinois. Um, Notre Dame and Georgia Tech, Alabama and Tennessee. Mm. That is like a Alabama, Georgia, eh? You know, yeah,
yeah. Alabama
yeah,
has disappointed us.
yeah.
Um,
You know,
and like I said, it's college, it's football. Points win the game. But that was and we show you.
yeah.
You beat the
Oh,
number one team.
yeah, because it's like that. Because no, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, LSU, and Arkansas. So it's basically, as you say, the homecoming football
SEC
weekend.
weekend.
Yeah.
It's SEC madness.
Kentucky and Florida, you know, all these.
It's an SEC madness this weekend. Yeah.
Yep.
And then you have Texas and Georgia, which is the game. That's a game.
Yeah.
Number one playing number five. Number one playing number four. That's a game.
No, 1 and 5. 1 and 5.
1 and 5. Okay, number
Yeah.
one playing number five.
Yeah. Well, Texas is
That's
number one.
somebody's
Georgia is number
moving.
5.
Somebody,
Texas,
somebody, somebody ranking is gonna drop.
Texas 1 and Georgia 5. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody's gonna drop.
All right. So that's quite interesting for today in terms of the matchups, and that's why. But Donna, good morning to you. Yes, we need to get Afi to tell us stories and journey into cricket and representing the West Indies women team. Well, you know, Afi is no stranger to our program. She normally comes on our
Yeah,
program. So once she is back and she settles and things like that, so certainly Afi
we'll get her on.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get her on. That's not an issue. Afi is always willing to. It's just that we sometimes we just have to fit them into the schedule because
into
it's
their
not
schedule.
as soon
Yeah,
as they return, you get them. You know, they have things to do. They have to settle down. But certainly, Afi. So Donna and Hazel certainly will get Afi. There's one thing I want to tell folks about coming up is the. Oh, by the way, before I do that, I know you might be seeing me double, as Edwin was saying, Mike squared. Um, I'm using two devices today,
yeah.
and for reasons. One basically with video, one with audio. and it's for recording purposes in terms of getting the audio to sync into the system, okay? And sometimes you have those sort of issues, especially when you're working out of the
when you're out of
yeah,
town.
yeah, out of town, and you have to do all those things like
Yeah.
that. So I'm actually in a hotel, and I have to do all the little technical things to get things to be okay. So don't mind you see me twice, you know. But this year is your main camera, right? And the other one is the side one with the audio. Okay. National Table Tennis, Grenada Table Tennis Association National Championship starting November 9th. Men's and women's teams, men and women singles, boys and girls singles, and you see they have under 19, under 17, under 15, under 13, and under 11. And then they have the veteran singles, 55 years and over. And then they have the open novice competitions for people like myself and Rudian, okay? The open novice competitions. Yeah. So you can register by getting in touch with Coach Rose Dina. She's based at the Ministry of Sports, or you can also contact 451-760. Our Rose is 538-7249. 473 is the area code. Entries close November 2nd, so you don't have much time remaining. So National Table Tennis Championship. Thank you very much, Ray Roberts, for that bit of information. So a bit of thing. So I want to throw that out to you. I want to give some comments and then hear what you have to say regarding, let's say, shout out to Coach Rose. She is doing an amazing job with table tennis in Grenada. Yes, in Grenada. And I like how she has been able to get the folks in, especially in outer parishes, well, you know, St.
Involved,
John's.
yeah.
St. John's and St. Mark, you know. Go off in Victoria, to be exact. She has been working a lot with those folks there. So there has been a big set of discussion going around regarding, I think it would have been the Wagiti tournament. That was a match that was scheduled for today and blah, 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 and things like that. So, you know, a lot of discussions around regarding that. And, you know, while I may, you know, and I want to be very cautious with what I'm saying, you know. While I may, you know, share some empathy with the organizers of those events and things like that. So sometimes I think we have to be mindful that not every holiday, and I say, you know, sometimes we get sort of carried away, you know, and we believe that every holiday should be, as they say, a jam and wine. Okay? And I think sometimes, as responsible as we need to be, we have to understand the significance sometimes of those activities, of those holidays. So it's like, I don't understand how, for example, I mean, Rudy, and I mean, we're not old. I mean, to say we're old, but I am certain growing up, and you would have experienced the same. Christmas is a time for family, it's a time, and it's a Christian holiday, and it's a time where people with family, they spend time together, you know, these sort of things. You know that probably Christmas Eve, for example, after you're shopping and whatever it is, then you either go to church Christmas Eve or very early Christmas morning, right? These days, it's a party. You go to a party, you know. Folks go and party. In fact, folks, they're cruises, I should say, not cruises, you know, cruises. So, you know, what was probably, and I'm saying probably 10, 15 years ago, you see how times have changed? What was 10, 15 years ago where, you know, for Christmas, for example, where you, and Christmas Day in particular, you spend time with the family, either at home or in the pasture, you know, with family and friends, you know, eating and sharing and this sort of things like that. So, these days, you know, there's nothing like that, or hardly, you know, more I'll say. In fact, people look to party for the entire period of Christmas, you know. So my concept, my whole perspective was that it was a bit unfortunate, that Heroes Day, October 19, and the significance of the day, that folks were organizing and planning and whatever, whether you got permission or whatever. I'm still saying that we have a sort of collective responsibility, and sometimes, you know, yes, you sought permission. The relevant authorities at the time, which was the Royal Grenada Police Force, gave you permission for amplified music, etc., and things like that. So, but I'm saying sometimes there's some sort of responsibility, and thinking about it. Should I organize something on that day? Um, that's just my thinking. I mean, you know, you may share a different perspective. Folks may share a different perspective, but I'm saying, you know, and by the way, we had October 25th that we have been observing for so many years, right? I'm trying to recall what it is we normally have on October 25th, except for the observance on at the Morris Bishop International Airport, etc., etc. But again, you know, I'm not involved in those sort of activities and things like that, so I'm not too much au fait with it. I don't know if you do, but that's my perspective of that. And I'm saying, as a citizen, as a responsible person, I would probably think first of the significance of the day and whether or not I should have something on the day, or what it is I should have, and in what context. That's just my thing. It's unfortunate that a sporting activity, as it said, because I think there was a football match or whatever it is with artists and whatever. I don't know the whole thing about it, but that's just my perspective. Let me hear you, Rudyard.
I had a conversation actually last night with someone who works in the ministry, former employee of a ministry. Um, He's talking about an issue he had home with the bank. Um, and we had a discussion, and I'm saying how disappointing I am with Grenada, how disappointing I am with the administration, um, because we are doing the same thing that was done 50 years ago in some institution, um, and there is no evolving. We are not evolving out of some behaviors, in Grenada. It doesn't matter which administration that comes in, no change. They contend with what's going on. They're okay with how it is. And there is some time we should not, we have to evolve. And there is no evolvement. And what you are saying, Michael, is that the generation today do not understand the significance of what the day is, because there is no effect on them. And that's when it comes with education. Because if you don't educate about those days, people don't know about it. People forget about it. It's gone past. So I think that's what it is. And then we're in a time where we don't want, we used to play marble. Even though they say women play moral, we used to play moral. We used to do those things as kids. Kids don't do that no more. And sometimes we say, well, let us go. We cannot go back in time. This is their generation. What you did in your time, Michael, I did something different. The generation now is going to do something different. And that's totally understandable. But it comes with education in significant day. We know of independence. We know that. Everybody knows that because it's been instilled into us. So we know the day, we know the significance of the day, we've seen what it is. So because it's something that instilled, everybody wear the colors. Foreign people, even though they're not in Grenada, I wear my Grenadian jersey on Independent Day. It's something significant to them because it was taught. Some of the other days is not being taught. So it's an education issue. And if you're not educated to them and it's not instilled into them, they're going to see it as another day. The generation that we are living in today is a party of a generation. everything is a fet or everything is a job. Doesn't matter what day of the week or what happening. Christmas Day, people playing job. And Christmas, that's the generation we're in. And is it the fault of the people? The fault fall on the government, which trickle down to education, and it falls from we, including myself. What did we left behind for the generation to come, or how did we leave that? How do we leave what we have, the instill of the things that we have, the local football we used to have? Do we just let it die out and we never left it behind for this generation now to do those things? And that's why the failure come from that. So not only, like I said, on the government, which they have a big part to play, and I'm not happy, very disgusted with a lot of things that's happening in the government. um, it also falls on it also falls on we as the generation who, um, certainly didn't leave that foundation behind, concrete, solid enough, so that the young generation that's coming after us could follow in those footsteps and take the same thing that we did, but make it better. And I think that's the fault. And Michael, when I say that, I'm saying it because I had a friend who went to the general hospital, and long story short, he was turned back from the general hospital, and the next morning he passed away. And that really, really, really hurt me, that we are doing the same thing we did 50 years ago today still. No involvement. And it hurts, and it make me feel that there is a big failure in the system. And certainly that's where we at. But the fault falls on all of us. And I think it's something that education is key. Once you educate people on the significance of some days, they have an understanding of it. And if you don't educate them on it, then it just the day show up, and then some people say, "Oh, remember, this is what today is, and this is what this is."
All right. We have a few more minutes, and I want to talk
Yeah.
briefly on the issue of the basketball. But let me get some comments here. Donna says, last night at the St. David's 50th Awards, that's the anniversary awards, 50th Independence, I should say. I was happy for Coach Paul for his amazing coaching works, and she's referring to Coach Paul Phillip, right?
Paul Phillip, yeah.
Yeah, and he has to say, congrats to all the awardees of the St. David's 50th celebration. And Edwin says, great program as always, guys. I have to run off to my grandson's flag football game. Rudy and I used to be a big marbles player in my day. And he says, well said, Rudy. And Hazen says, education is key, but we need to take what we learn and put it into action. Yeah, but there'll always be a challenge in terms of, yes, we do not want to, as much as we want to, we want, as they always say, this is the young people era. What happens now and what is shaped now is for their future, right?
Yeah.
You don't expect to be around, well, God forbid, 60, 70 years, in the next, right? 60 years in the future, 70 years in the future. You never know what could happen with technology these days. You never know if a man could live past 120 and, them kind of things. So, right? They probably may find somewhere where they can extend life, whatever. Technology and AI and all sort of things. You probably may be dead, but still living through AI.
Yeah. Keep the brain, keep the heart beating, something. Yeah.
We don't know what's going on, but we have to shape the future. And I agree that 10, 15 years ago, it was a generation, it was an era. And this is a new generation, this is a new era. But are you saying that, and I'm not saying for you to respond, but are we saying that we should just give in and give up and allow them to? That's the other debatable thing. There's one thing that, and that's something probably we can always discuss, because it has implications, and I come to think about it, Rudian, I think it's somewhere where we may have to get some experts coming on our program, and we talk about that, because it has implications for sports and all these sort of things. We can't just say competition, but we can look at all these aspects and see how it can affect sports,
Yeah.
the attitudes and the mindset of young people and all of that,
Yeah.
even towards sports,
It's so
how that
funny,
will fit
Michael,
in. Mhm.
because just briefly, when you was in school, you would say, okay, I did a 9 subjects, so I did a 10. Now you're hearing kids doing 17, 18 subjects. That was never done back then. Well, they have all this, like you sit back and say, 17 subjects? Like, those type of things, but this is what is there now.
Yeah,
So
but
sometimes we, as the older ones, saying, well, how much subject is in school? How much subject can you take? And blah, 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 blah. This is what is there now. So we also have to have the understanding. This is the era. This is what's happening now. This is
yeah,
what it is. And I always use that point. We grew up knowing the idea of yay, not jab jab. It's yay. And yay was something that's specific. You can just play yay. You have to know the chant. You have to know certain things to be a part of playing yay. And it was the older folk that used to play yay.
well,
No, this is the era now. It's jab jab.
well,
We as the older one cannot say, well, everything is this and everything is jab. But it just, this is the time when.
well, I could go far as saying we grew up saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yeah.
Now it's yo,
Yo.
hey, and
Yeah.
hey, and and
Yeah.
things like that. But so the issue has to do with the boxing, and we may have get someone to speak a little more on that, because remember, we have had the issue where we had two boxing associations in Grenada. Boxing Boxing Association of Grenada Incorporated, that's Inc., and then we had
Mm-hmm.
Boxing Association. One recognized, one not recognized. One meaning recognized by the Grenada Olympic Committee and by IBA, International Boxing Association, and one trying to be affiliated. Now the issue is that the IOC is saying that IBA, International Boxing Association, is no longer recognized, and that the Olympic committees, the national Olympic committees, must not recognize any federations, boxing federations, that's affiliated or committed to IBA.
To Iva.
Right. So it means that we have one that is already affiliated to IBA, recognized, and we have one that is not affiliated. So whether or not, and that other one has been seeking affiliation with the Grenada Olympic Committee. However, the
Committee.
Grenada Olympic Committee cannot sanction two associations, two rival
Association.
associations. Yeah,
Yeah.
it must be one. So the question will be, which one will the Grenada Olympic Committee now recognize? And that, seen as one is already affiliated to IBA and are committed to IBA and made commitments such that they will continue to be affiliated with IBA. And now that the IOC is telling the National Olympic Committee that they must, not recognize, we want to see where the GOC will be going. I have attempted to get officials from Grenada Olympic Committee to be on our program before, not just on that issue, but before. But that was an issue I wanted to discuss as well. Mind you, the president of the Grenada Olympic Committee, Mr. Bonnie Williams, a former boxer himself, and to some extent that was affiliated to that boxing association. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get some clarity. One of the reasons I wanted to get some clarity from the Grenada Olympic Committee regarding that. It's a ticklish issue, and we're hoping that Bonnie. Well, we say Bonnie Wilson. His first name is Bernard, but we know him as Bonnie.
Yeah, Bonnie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know him as Bonnie. But that is one of the reasons why we wanted to get him to, and the Olympic Committee, to give some clarity, because I've seen a lot of documents circulating this week, especially from the IOC, giving clear instructions as regards to
that. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that as well.
issue
Yeah.
and things like that. So it's very important that we get some clarity on that. In terms of boxing and the future of boxing, and especially Grenada, it's up in the air, because as it is now, it's whether or not boxing will be on the program for LA 28, Los Angeles 2028, and it all depends on whether the IOC will recognize a new international boxing association, etc., etc. A lot of things playing up there, but we'll want to see how. You see, if there wasn't a rival association in Grenada, they were not two, then that
They were
might
not
have been
too
an easier issue to deal with. But
to
then
deal with. Yeah, yeah.
there was this other association that, by the way, is duly recognized in Grenada. Boxing Association of Grenada
Association. Yes, it
is
is. Yeah.
recognized. In fact, that association has gone ahead and organized tournaments. Well, they were under a program, so you know about it, and organized boxing tournaments in Carriacou, in Grenada, seminars, all sorts of things. Even though they have not been officially recognized by the Olympic Committee, recall there was a big issue some time ago when on the eve of the boxing tournament that they scheduled to have. The president of the other association showed up with the police to get the ring and all these sorts of. I mean, come on, a lot of things to be ironed out, but hopefully, the boxers don't suffer or continue to suffer and things like that. So, hey, Rudian, some last words from you. Here in Nebraska, it's I thought it would have been very cool. The sun is out.
Sun is out. Yeah.
They're expecting some high temperatures for this weekend. I'm here and then moving on Sunday, moving to another city. But
No, certainly. The weather is good. I see. Happen to see a clip where St. David's Trailblazers get some nice equipment, which is really good. So certainly those sponsors who are sponsoring that continue doing the best that you can. Continue supporting our athletes. Continue supporting Sports Grenada on a whole. And I'm just still waiting to see what the plans for the some of the sports councils, Paris sports councils, what the plans are. It's really still waiting to hear, some of the plans moving forward and what they wanted to do. They're going to do for the parishes, and to help not only in sports but even going as far as helping the elderlies, right? Trying to get some of them to come out to walk in and getting programs for them. Some of them are just at home. They're just sitting at home. Sometimes if you have a program, they'll come out because that keep them alive by being active. Certainly, just movement. So certainly want to see and hear what the plans are. But so far, all is well. They say there is football. It's football and football. Football and football. Football and football. Basketball is about to come up on, those who love the NBA. It's about to come on, NFL is on. There is football games. There is football games, so certainly I'm looking forward for that.
All right. Thank you very much, Rudy, and always a pleasure having you.
It's always a pleasure. All right.
Thank you. Right. Thank you very much. So that's Rudy and Sylvan, my co-host in Toronto, Canada today. And let's say Tori saying congrats to the West Indies. I'm sending a petition to West Indies selectors to pick Afi for West Indies boys. Them boys need a caliber bowler like Afi. Yeah, we spoke about Afi. Afi is class bowler. You never know. We may have the day when sports at that level, the international professional level, could be co-ed in terms of men and women participating, getting some of the women to participate, and probably that might ease up some of the woes of West Indies cricket. Toro. So thank you very much, Toro. To, my good friend Tony Juliet, thank you very much. Hazel, as usual, Edwin, Donna, Joseph, thank you very much for being on our program. And as always, folks, always a pleasure having you. Looking forward to being in your company next week, God's willing. And I'm saying that next week, God's willing, hopefully. And we will see what we can do. Just as a disclaimer, though, in that, and I indicated you're seeing me twice because I have some challenges at the hotel. So normally when I'm on the road, I have to be, doing some sort of improvised things, video and audio, and then trying to sync it in terms of for the recording and things like that. So you'll see one camera one way, one the other way, and things like that. So because we do from, hotel to hotel, you go to, there are some challenges that you have to get around and things like that. So So I'm in Nebraska this weekend. As well, last weekend, well, I didn't have a program last weekend, but then even before that, I was on the road and things like that. So, and hopefully, if I'm not, I may be on the road next weekend, but it depends on the schedule. We will have a program. Normally, we'll try to, at this time of the year, try to get like the Minister of Sports, because, with the budget and all these other things. But I think the budget is going to next year, God's willing, sometime January, February, somewhere around there. So early in the new year, the budget will be ready. So we'll see probably if we can still get the Minister of Sports to come and talk about some issues regarding sports and, in terms of what we expect in the budget and all these sort of things like that. And even with issues regarding not issues, but the National Sports Council, the Paris Sports Council, and all these sort of things. So, And then as indicated, I promise you, Afi Fletcher, and we're still trying to see if we can get Bonnie Wilson and someone from the Olympic Committee to give us something regarding, specifically on the issue regarding the boxing, because it's a peculiar situation for Grenada. It found itself with these two boxing associations. For others, it may not be, because it means that the association can just relinquish its association with that's the boxing association can relinquish its association with the International Boxing Federation, or International Boxing Association, IBA. It's something probably easy for them to do. But the NOC, which is the National Olympic Committee, had they had instructions from the IOC that they need to follow regarding affiliates, commitments to the International Boxing Association. So the Grenada issue is a bit ticklish, and we want to find out from the National Olympic Committee, that's the Grenada Olympic Committee, their perspective of what action that will take. Thank you very much once again, folks. Always a pleasure having you. Until then, do have yourself a pleasure.